So, I wanted to talk about this man that is supposedly the final prophet, the chosen one, the man closest to God. The guy in question was a fucking narcissist, a war criminal, and a total piece of shit. His name is Muhammad, and he was a scumbag. I want to start with his upbringing. His dad died before he was even born. His mom died when he was 6. He was raised by his grandpa, then a foster home. He was a lonely, depressed kid with no direction. He married a rich widow just to get off the streets. He had a love-hate relationship with his own uncle, Hamza. He used to beat the shit out of him in the street just to assert dominance. That's the kind of insecure little prick he was. And here's the real ball tickler about it. His marriage to Aisha, he married her when she was 6 years old. And he did not just marry her, but he took her into his house and played with her toys. Can you imagine being a 6-year-old girl having a 50-year-old man hanging around your house? He waited until she was 9 years old to fuck her. That is pedophilia, textbook pedophilia. And you're telling me people actually worship this scumbag? That's fucking disgusting. He was a dirty ass old man who just couldn't keep it in his pants. Plain and simple. But it wasn't just his personal life that was a dumpster fire. His military career was also a massacre. He fought wars to expand his territory. He killed men, enslaved women. The Banu Kwanzaa, I can't pronounce it, the Khorasia tribe, some fucking tribe, who gives a shit. He locked up 600 to 900 men, made them dig a trench, and then he executed every single one of them. And then he took their women as slaves. It's not a holy man. That's a war criminal. He was a thug. And he was a gang leader who used his religion as cover. Sound familiar? It's a common thread throughout history. He was obsessed with owning people. He owned slaves, and he bought and sold and traded human beings like they were fucking cattle. He owned a woman named I can't pronounce her name, but pronunciations don't matter. You can look it up yourself. Who was taken as a slave after her tribe was wiped out. He owned Zaid, who was originally his slave but became his adopted son. He literally sold people for money. He was a pimp for a slave trade empire. He didn't give a flying fuck about human rights. He was just a rich dude with a massive slave collection. And then there's the whole conquest of Mecca, where he marched in with an army not to spread any sort of peace, like a lot of Muslims like to spout on it. Islam is a religion of peace. Bullshit. Whatever. He didn't go there to spread peace, but he went there to terrorize people, okay? He destroyed the idols of Kaaba, and then he had people beaten in the street. He dictated terms of surrender at sword point. He wasn't a liberator, okay? He was a conqueror who forced everyone to bow down to him or die. He was a fucking tyrant. Plain and simple. And really, let's not forget his horrible treatment of women. I mean, how could you? He had multiple wives, and he kept taking on even more. And he had sex with Aisha while she was playing with dolls. So that tells you how he already feels about women in the beginning, like I talked about earlier. He had sex with his slave girl, Mariah. He had just had a concubine named Jarar. I can't, again, pronounce her name. But he was basically a serial womanizer. He used his position to, gain power, to gain whatever he wanted. Women were treated like property, second-class citizens, and baby makers. He literally said a woman's testimony in court is worth half that of a man's. What a piece of shit. I don't know about you, but I got no respect for this scumbag. And I got something. Here's really the kicker. The guy was a master manipulator. He wrote a book. It's called the Quran, that claimed to be the word of God. But it was really just him venting and making up rules to control people, to justify his own ego, too. He claimed to receive revelations when he was in a cave. He claimed to fly to heaven on a horse, apparently, because horses have wings. We all know that's how that fucking works. It's a fairy tale for adults. He was basically just the ringmaster for the whole thing. He was a narcissist who thought he was the final authority on everything, or at least he wanted to be the final authority. Let's look at his track record, okay? He couldn't keep his own family together. His wives hated each other. His daughter, Fatima, died young and angry. His son, Ibrahim, died as a baby. He couldn't protect his own followers. The guy was a fucking mess, a total disaster. And the legacy? Millions of people living in the Dark Ages, afraid to question anything because they're terrified of hell, something I've touched on other videos. It's a system designed to keep people stupid and obedient. It's a cult. And the leader of that cult is a complete scumbag, a war criminal, a pedophile, a slave owner, and a narcissist. He didn't bring enlightenment. He brought tyranny. And the world is still paying the price for his legacy today. Stop worshiping the ground he walked on and start looking at the ugly truth. But think about it for a second. Look at the Middle East as it is right now. Look at the violence, the sheer amount of endless brutality, the suicide bombings, the shared hatred between Sunni and Shia. It all traces back to a dispute over who was the rightful successor after Muhammad died. A power struggle over a guy who's been dead for 1,400 years. It's ridiculous. He left behind a mess that the rest of us are still trying to clean up. And people actually defend this? They actually get offended when you point out the obvious. He was a guy who couldn't handle criticism. If you disagreed with him, he didn't debate you. He just threatened to kill you. He sent his followers to assassinate poets who wrote satirical verses about him. He literally had poets murdered just because they didn't like his haircut. This is not a prophet to be worshipped or to look up to. This is a thin-skinned tyrant who simply couldn't handle any sort of joke or criticism. If he were alive today, he'd be the kind of guy who gets banned from Twitter for getting triggered by a meme. So, is Muhammad a holy figure? Nah. He was a scumbag, a war criminal, a pedophile, a slave owner, and a narcissist. He didn't bring any enlightenment. He only brought tyranny. And the world is still paying for the price for his legacy today. Stop worshiping the ground he walked on and start looking at the ugly truth. Once again, thanks for watching. Leave a comment, and see you in the next one.